Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Oh Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Kunja Bihari Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Gaura Hey, 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 Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Ganhavika Giridhare Radha Vinod Vihari Ju Ki Jai, Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Nityananda Rai Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Tarazara Shishimat Shila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Tarazara Shishimat Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Tarazara Shishimat Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Mahabhagavat Shila Gauri Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Saptam Goswami Shila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Shila Baladevi Dibhusham Gaudi Varantaracharya Ki Jai, Shila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamanand Prabhu Treya Ki Jai, Shila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai, Shri Rup Sanatan, Shri Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal, Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai, Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gaura Parsada Ki Jai, Namacharya Shri Hardas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Siga Hosi Krishna, Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasati Shri Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Jamuna Ki Jai, Brihat Mridanga Ki Jai, Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Nam Bhajan Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sujashan Chakra Ki Jai, Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai, Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Anantakota Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Om Aginati Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Prabhajantam Anapetyam Apetya Krityam Dvaipayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tammayatayo Tarabo Vinadustam Sarvabhutam Munim Hridimanato Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripamay Tvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam. I'm first of all offering millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila Pravishna Om Asto Tarasara Shishimad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. And also Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchitananda Namane Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupa Nuga Varayate. To our beloved Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. So we'll continue our Jaiva Dharma. I just want to thank the Chinese and Hong Kong devotees for sending me sufficient funds to have a separate battery for our Wi-Fi now, and tomorrow we will have a whole unit installed. So I'm very grateful to the Hong Kong and Chinese devotees for their generous donation for that. I was going to sing a bhajan today, but I'm unsure about the power going on and off. So I just sang something that I didn't have to read. Okay, so we'll go to our Falshruti. Last 6, is it? Jaiva Dharma pate se Shuddha Bhakti hoy. Jaiva Dharma na padile kabe bhakti noy.
One who reads Jaiva Dharma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. But one who does not read Jaiva Dharma can never attain Bhakti.
Quite straightforward. We have to study Jaiva Dharma to attain pure bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti. Rupa Nuga Abhiman pate drita hoy. Jaiva Dharma vimukha ke dharma hi na koi.
Faithfully reading Jaiva Dharma will surely strengthen one's Abhiman as Rupanuga, follower of Sri Rupa Goswami. One who is averse to reading Jaiva Dharma is certainly devoid of religious principles.
Java Jivane Jai
Pade
Pade
Jaiva
Jaiva
Dharma,
Dharma
Bhaktiman
Se Jana
Sejan
Vrita
Vrita
Jnana
Jnana
Karma.
Karma. One who faithfully reads Jaiva Dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of Gyan and
So
Karma.
this is our subject matter in this chapter. Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. We're discussing the Abhideya here. Krishna Ramala Seva Labi Se Nara Seva Sukhe Magna Rahe Sada Krishna Para.
Such a man, being fully devoted to Shri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore and having attained their Amal Prem Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate loving service.
This is our most wonderful destination, this Amal Prem Seva. So, yesterday I was reviewing the video and I noticed that quite a little bit was missing from what we were saying yesterday. It was sort of chopped around because of the power coming in and out. So,
That was day before yesterday.
oh, Saturday, I'm sorry. Saturday, yes. Yesterday we didn't have. So I just want to explain one single point that I was cut off with on Saturday. I was explaining Tat Padartha Gyan, and I was explaining the 6 qualities of Krishna, which are important to appreciate in our understanding of what is Shuddha Bhakti, what is Swarup Siddha Bhakti. So this Tat Padartha Gyan, and I was giving a list of 6 qualities or 6 adjectives describing Krishna that are very helpful for us to keep in our pockets. The first was Paramatattva, Prakrita Guna, that Krishna has no material qualities. He has no material qualities. The second was Paramatattva, Aprakrit Guna. He has only spiritual qualities. He's filled with spiritual qualities. Is that what you wrote down last time? He only has spiritual qualities. And then the third was Satchit Ananda Vigraha, that he is the embodiment of eternity, cognizance, and bliss. Satchit Ananda Vigraha. And the fourth is Achintya Sarva Shaktiman. He's the inconceivable possessor of Shakti. So these are all incorporated in our Dasmula Prameyas. So we should be able to highlight them and appreciate them in context like that. And then the fifth was Rasaraj. He's the king, the emperor of all Ras, Rasaraj. And the last one where I got cut off, I was watching the video and the power cut off the last one. I was waiting for it, but it cut. So it's Swayam Bhagavan is the 6th one. Throughout Shastra, he is proclaimed as that supreme personality of Godhead. So these 6 points we can use at any time to appreciate what is Tat Padartha Gyan. And then there's Tvam Padartha Gyan, which is knowledge of the Jiva. Jiva is Anuchit. Krishna is Vibhuchit or Punachit. Krishna controls Maya. The Jiva is controlled by Maya. So these distinctions are so helpful for our appreciation. Bhakti means a melting of the heart in attraction to Krishna. So the more I know the aspects and siddhanta about Krishna directly, obviously the more I can appreciate and come in that direction. This is the purpose of Shastra, to give us insight into Krishna's personality. He's giving it everywhere throughout the scriptures to encourage us to come and develop our relationship with him in, first of all, Sharanagati. Actually, this Sharanagati goes throughout, but there's a stage specifically, like we have Shraddha, Sharanagati, Anartha-nivritti, Ruchi, Nishta, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, etc. We have these stages. So it looks like Sharanagati is a stage, but Sharanagati is throughout. All these stages are all present. They're making up the sadhak, these stages of Sharanagat, Shraddha, etc., Nishta. They're always there, evolving and developing. So this is to bring us, understanding this progression is to bring us to this Amala Prem Seva that we've just read in the Falshruti. So now, and yesterday,
Maharaj, what about Sambandha Gyan? Where does it come? Tat Pradatta Gyan or Tvam Pradatta?
Sambandha Gyan is the automatic development when we understand these. As soon as you appreciate those 6 points, your relationship with Krishna has begun. If you're recognizing Krishna because he's beyond material qualities, because he has all transcendental qualities, because he's Satchitananda Mayi Vigraha, because he's Sarva Achintya Sarva Shaktiman, because he's Rasaraj, because he's Swayam Bhagavan. As soon as you realize that, then you've already got a relationship with him. So this is Sambandha Gyan. Understand?
So there are only two types of Gyan.
Yes, no, there's 3 that are listed in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The third type is called Jiva Brahm Aikya Gyan. That's knowledge of impersonal liberation. And that is to be rejected completely. We need to study, it's right at the very beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. There's about 15 pages that discusses in detail this verse, Anyabilasita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anapritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhakti Uttama. And there's diagrams and maps there. And we should really, it's essential to absorb that verse's tattvas that it's presenting. Otherwise, we can't come to the next verse, Kriti Sadhya Bhavet Sadhya Bhavsa Sadhanabhida. This is actually the practice to appreciate this next verse. But here we've reached in our study and reading, although on Saturday I was just recapping what we had done the day before because the power was so bad. But today I want to go forward. But we stopped on these 6 symptoms of bhav, not symptoms of bhav, rather these
Bhakti. Special characteristics of Bhakti.
Characteristics, yes, the characteristic of sadhan. How is it going forward? We have sadhan bhakti, bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti. So there's 2 qualities described about each. Kleshagni, Shubhada. These are described here. Kleshagni, she destroys all kinds of distress. These we should become very, very familiar with. This is the very beginning of the Abhideya. This is like the basic platform. So this verse, Anyabilasita Sunyam, and this one, Kriti Sadhya Bhavet Sadhya Bhav, should be there. And then this one, Kleshagni, Shubhada, these 3, they're all given by Rupa Goswami Pad. Rupa Goswami, we have so many discussions about his glories and speciality. So he's giving us these stepping stones to Bhav Bhakti. It's all proceeding in that direction. So I'll just read through these again, or you can read, Gokul, these 6 characteristics. Klesha.
Kleshagni, she destroys all kinds of distress. Shubhada, she awards all kinds of good fortune.
So now Brajanath is going to unpack each of these. That's the next part of the chapter. Go ahead.
Number 3, Moksha Laguta Krit. She makes Krit, the pleasure of impersonal liberation, appear Laguta, insignificant. Number 4, Sudurlabha. She is rarely achieved.
In this point about liberation, I just have to stress again, I was just on a Bhagavatam thread before this class, and one of the persons was thinking again, and it's a very, very common misconception, because in many of Prabhupada's purports, I think the editors don't understand actually that you don't go through these stages of liberation. Oh, now I'm liberated, now I'll go to Paramatma feature. We're so familiar in this material world with upward progressions like that. We're familiar with that. Even the body, it goes through childhood, it goes through youth, it goes through middle age, it goes through old age. We see all these progressions. But these 3 aspects of Bhagavan are not progressive states of consciousness for the jiva at all. If you hit the Brahman, you will never ever want to leave it. It's a very attractive, like in Brihat Bhagavatamrita, when Gopkumar, he comes into that area. Lord Shivji has to come with a huge Sankirtan party to pull him out of there, because it's so sweet and comfortable for na sochati na kanchati, no suffering, no lamentation. There's no desire there. That's why it's such an attractive place. This is like moksha. This is the place that most yogis, etc., most even thoughtful sadhaks without bhakti are certainly looking for. Even the smarters, they're actually hoping for moksha. This is their goal. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. It's been for millions of years like this. But we should understand that if you go there, you can't get out of there. You're trapped. Why? Because you have no desire to get out of there. Everything is fueled by the desire. So if you're in there with no desire, how are you going to go anywhere? You're not. You're going to stay there forever. And similarly with Paramatma realization. Who attains Paramatma realization? It's the yogis. It's described the Jnanis go for the Brahma Jyoti and the yogis go for Paramatma realization. And we've discussed already in chapter 18 that Paramatma realization is somewhat impersonal. Everyone in existence, animals, creatures, trees, all have that Paramatma feature. It's all the same aspect, plenary portion of a portion of a portion of Krishna, guiding as supersoul through his births. But to have realization of his form, then there's no more movement of the soul towards Bhagavan, because you will be satisfied with that. This is the reason why we must be very, very, very clear on this, because we will meet different people in these different schools of thought as we roam around. And we will meet even different devotees who have this misconception. Oh, at the moment, Prabhu, I'm aiming at Brahma Jyoti. When I reach that and that's an attractive place to go for, liberation. Everything's talking about liberation. But we're going to try and understand the meaning of liberation. We've actually already gone through it in the 18th chapter. The meaning of, in connection with Krishna, liberated from the material world and attracted fully to Krishna. So this realization of Bhagavan, this is the only realization. This is the only focus I should be having in my bhajan. If we're thinking about Brahman, if we're thinking even a little bit with attraction towards Paramatma, that will be huge obstruction in our bhajan towards Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. Massive. Actually, we just won't make it completely. So we must be very, very, very sure, because many times I've seen 4 or 5, 6 times in Prabhupada's purports, it seems to give that impression. Definitely in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a couple of them. And it seems to give, and I've met many devotees from that society, and they actually have that misconception. oh, well, Prabhu, I'm on my way to the Brahmajyoti first. And when I've gone through there, then I'll go for Paramatma feature. And then I'll go for... completely wrong. So we have to understand this absolutely. If we want to attain Shuddha Bhakti towards Brajendrananda and Shyam Sundar, our path is very beset with all kinds of distractions that are even coming from Shastra. That's why Sadhguru, that's why the Acharyas, they clarify in their commentaries about what Vyasadeva, prior to Vyasadev's Bhasya, his trance, in the 7th chapter of the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he was always writing, giving his commentaries on Gyan Kand and Karma Kand, because that was the eligibility of the people at the time. That's what they needed. Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha. This is what he was expressing. But then when he had his vision in that Bhasya that's granted by Narad, then he suddenly realized Krishna being bound by Mother Yashoda. My supreme personality of Godhead can be bound by Mother Yashoda. How is this? How is Krishna allowing himself, that supreme, most powerful person in existence, submits to being bound as a child? This takes time to actually assimilate and appreciate. So many practitioners of bhakti in the Aishwarya school don't appreciate the aspect of Brajendrananda and Shyam Sundar. It's a fact. But those in the Gaudiya line, we are hearing from the very beginning about Krishna in Vrindavan, and particularly Krishna with the gopis. If we don't hear about these topics of Krishna with the gopis, then every jiva wants happiness. And first stage of happiness is like, well, I'll have a peaceful mind, and then I'll go somewhere else after that. But you'll never have a peaceful mind in Kali Yuga in particular, because of all the pollutants, all the disturbances everywhere in the atmosphere and so on. I think that picture's going to drop down. The gopis are falling. Just take it down, take it down, take it down. Yeah, thank you. So appreciate conclusively this distinction between Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. We are only focusing on Bhagavan. Everything is personal, so personal about Bhagavan. Paramatma feature is not personal. It's not personal. You have a relationship in veneration. And I was explaining on Saturday also how Prabhupada is saying directly in one commentary I read to you that he doubts if Krishna even hears your prayers when you're offering prayers in just awe and majesty. They don't attract Krishna. Why should they? He's hungry for love. He's hungry for affection. And when we connect with this conception, our whole practice and sadhana becomes really ecstatic, because we're only looking to reciprocate with this person who is only controlled by love. We even see the 3 distinctions of rati. We have Sadarani Rati of Kubja, doesn't control Krishna. We have the Samanjasa Rati of the queens of Dwarka, not capable to control Krishna. Queens of Dwarka are compromised with 10 sons, 1 daughter. Krishna gets a 12th. Can't control Krishna. Only full-blown absorption, fully die to live, of the Brajaramanis, the gopis. This is called Samartarati. This Samartarati will control, it has the power to control Krishna. So these types of topics are all very personal, nothing to do with the Brahman or Paramatma. So we have to appreciate that. So I think I just wanted to share that and make it very conclusive in everyone's mind forever. Moksha Hata Krit. Yes, you said that one. Then?
Number 4, Sudurlabha. She is rarely achieved.
Yes, this is what I'm saying, because Vedavyas has written so many indications towards Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha previously to compiling this Bhagavatam. And it's only in the 10th canto that this really manifests. Previously, to having that trance, that Basya, he had already written the first 9 cantos. The first 9 cantos were already prepared. They had already been written by his followers, etc. But the 10th canto, which is the smiling face of Krishna, which completely transforms the consciousness of the sadhak when we go from the Aishwarya to the Madhurya realm of Krishna in Vrindavan. It's such a quantum leap of consciousness. We're suddenly going from awe and veneration towards Krishna into that Krishna will have relationships with other men's wives, parakiya ras. It's a huge jump. So that takes place when you go into the 10th canto. So this is the direction that we're going in. Okay, for number 5.
Number 5, Sandrananda Visheshatma. Her nature is imbued with most intense and superlative pleasure.
So I've described a couple of times the meaning of Sandra. Sandra means nothing else can enter except Ananda, exclusively, only bliss. This is the description of Prem itself now. These last 2 are Prem, the 2 before were Bhav, and the first 2 were Sadhan Bhakti. This is such an important appreciation for our progress. Sadhan Bhakti, Bhav Bhakti, this is a progression. Previously, I was saying Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, it's not a, but this, what I'm talking about now, is a progression. Definitely, we perform our sadhan with the inner intention to achieve bhav. That is if we don't have that inner intention, then what is our inner intention? To make a good amount of sukriti for my next birth? Am I clocking up lots of good credits? No problem, we can do like that, but we're missing the essential element of the vital present now. We're trying to project into our next life, and we're missing the powerful kripa that we can achieve right now by the mercy of Mahaprabhu. If we just try and perform activities so that my future births will be at least human and perhaps in the path of bhakti. This is karma kand or gyan kand. This is not the path of bhakti. So we have to check ourselves and come back into the present and appreciate Mahaprabhu's gifts.
Number 6, Shri Krishna Akarshani. She is the sole means to attract Shri Krishna.
Yes. This is what I'm saying. Krishna is hungry for love. He's not hungry for awe and veneration. He's not controlled by that. This being controlled is a symptom of love. Krishna submits to the control of the gopis, particularly Shri Radhika. Radhika hears that he's dancing in Radhakund, and she asks Vrinda Devi, oh, who is his teacher? Oh, you are Radha. He's seeing you in every single leaf and every bush. And he's also seeing Radha with her stick. What is her stick? Her man. So Krishna is under her tutelage. This is the understanding of the Gaudiyas. We always serving Radhika. Okay.
Vijay. How does bhakti destroy distress?
So this is the first one, Klesha Agni.
Babaji. There are 3 kinds of klesha, distress. Sin itself, papa, sin in its form, papa bija, and ignorance, avidya.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Pap
Papa bija
and Papa Bij
avidya.
and Avidya. These 3. If you have notebooks, it's helpful to appreciate, so you can keep it in your pocket.
Sinful activity is classified as pataka, sinful, mahapataka, very sinful, and atipataka, extremely sinful.
Understand the distinction between sin and offense. Don't become confused with that. A sin is something that you commit with your gross bodily on that platform, but an offense is something that's committed subtly, and that is much, much, much harder to purify. A sin can be purified actually, but an offense, that takes a much greater amount of effort to purify the offenses, because then the supports of Nam are reduced. If offensive chanting is going on, if we're committing the any of those 10 offenses to the holy name, then our opportunities to actually purify this avidya will be restricted.
All these are considered pap. People in whose arts Shuddha Bhakti has manifested are naturally not inclined to become involved in sinful activities. Pap.
Therefore, we should associate with people that we consider are not involved with sinful activities. We should not associate with people that we know, maybe they're chanting Hare Krishna even, but they're involved in sinful activities. There are, Prabhupada calls them Kali Chelas. There are people dressed as devotees and they're engaged in all kinds of nefarious activities because of the age, because it's the demons' realm now. They are running everywhere. So soft hearted devotees can get influenced by these demonic influences. And then they'll be hijacked away from this. So we should also be very cautious. If we're armed with this Jaiva Dharma, these truths, we'll never have a difficulty. Never, ever.
People in whose arts Shuddha Bhakti has
No,
manifested
the desire to commit.
the desire to commit sins, which is called Papa Bija, cannot remain in a heart filled with bhakti.
Yes, very beautiful.
Avidya means ignorance of one's spiritual identity.
Jivara Sarupoi, Krishna.
Krishna.
This is the very first lesson. We hear it every single day. But how much progress have we actually made in it? How far have we gone off the bodily platform? Most of the day, most of the time, we are fully on the bodily platform operating. Perhaps in the morning hours, when we connect with name, we have an opportunity at that time to separate from the body, maybe for even a few moments. That's enough. That's enough each day. And gradually that will increase. But we must have that experience at least in the morning hours. This is called sadhan bhakti. That's why this sadhan is so essential to become absolutely regulated in our lives as far as our sadhan bhajan is concerned, our chanting, etc., our reading. This must be so much fixed and regular. Otherwise, the avidya will remain.
When Shuddha Bhakti first dawns within the heart, the jiva understands very clearly I am a servant of Krishna.
Krishna is so beautiful. And my first inclination is, how can I please Krishna? That's my first inclination. How can I imagine if we have to, or perceive in the mind's eye that this most incredible moon-like personality of Krishna is smiling at you? The first inspiration of the heart is to please him. That's the first feeling that we get. How can I, even you meet a very great person in this life that you have great respect for and admire, you automatically want to render some service for that person because that service is a symptom of love. By rendering the service, we're demonstrating my affection. And we can do service to Krishna even we don't have his darshan directly. When we're serving in the temple, altar, so many different areas, we can be serving Krishna. So that's slowly beginning to get to that conception.
And ignorance disappears altogether.
Gone in a moment, because the wave of transcendence that Krishna will emanate just dissipates any bodily platform. And as soon as the bodily platform has been purified and I realize my true identity, we started from the first chapter saying the same thing. We say in every single Falshruti the same thing. When are we going to wake up?
This means that as Bhakti Devi, the goddess of Bhakti, spreads her effulgence, the darkness of Pap Bij, and Avidya are expelled from one's heart. On the auspicious arrival of Bhakti Devi, Bhakti, all sorts of distress go far away. That is why Bhakti is Klesha Agni.
Klesha Agni. Very beautiful. Klesha Agni, yes.
Vijay, how is Bhakti Shubhada, Babaji? In this world, all types of affection All good qualities and all the different types of pleasures are considered Shubha, auspicious. One in whose heart pure bhakti has manifested is endowed with four qualities: humility, compassion, freedom from pride, and giving honor to others.
Amanina or
Man,
Trinadapi Sunichena means that humility
humility,
has arisen in the heart. And then Amanina Tarorapi Suhishena. This means compassion, like we see a tree. A tree just gives forever. Even if you come to chop it down, it's still giving you shade while you're chopping it down. It will never ask for anything. It has this quality of compassion. And then freedom from pride. Amanina. This means freedom from pride. And then manadena, having great respect for others. So it's this verse that Mahaprabhu chanted right at the very end of his manifest pastimes. If we read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's in the 20th chapter. He knows because he's received that poem, that sonnet from Advaita Acharya, telling him that it's time for the deity to go back now. Mahaprabhu's bhajan intensifies so much, his absorption, not bhajan, his absorption intensifies. And then these beautiful Shikshastakam verses just flow from his heart. But this verse, Trinada Pisanish, is put in here. And this is showing how the one in whose heart pure bhakti has manifested is endowed with four qualities. We must remember these qualities: humility,
compassion,
compassion,
freedom.
lack of pride, and respect. That is the verse. Trinada Pisunichena, Tarora Pisuishana, Amanina, Manadena. And then what is the
Kirtanaya,
result of that? Kirtanya
Kirtanaya,
Sada
Sada.
Hari. Then I can chant purely. That's the result of those four qualities.
For this reason, the whole world bestows affection upon him.
Yes, if you're smiling and filled with spiritual mood and happiness, I'm sure so many of us have experienced this. When we are feeling really good, the whole world is feeling really good. And when we are feeling really morose and angry and unhappy, the whole world seems to be reflecting that. Because it was this Chaito Dapana Marjanam. It's the reflection from the heart. We are experiencing reflection in this world. How to clean um, that reflection is there in the heart. So how to appreciate this?
All kinds of sadgunas are automatically manifested in Shuddha Bhaktas. Bhakti is capable of giving all kinds of pleasure. If one desires, she can give material enjoyment, the happiness of merging into the impersonal Brahm, Nirvishesh Brahm Sukh, all kinds of mystical powers,
That's
siddhis.
basically Paramatma realization. You see, he's not qualifying that this Shubhada is necessarily come to the stage of Bhav Bhakti yet. We can have this auspicious uh, situation for ourselves, but we haven't reached Bhav Bhakti yet. If we haven't been focused on Bhav Bhakti, if our focus has been more Vaidhi Bhakti like that, then we're not going to progress into Bhav Bhakti fully, that spontaneous attraction. But Shubhada and Kleshagni can be dispelled and purified with Vaidhi Bhakti also. It doesn't have to be Raganuga Bhakti. So with ordinary Bhakti, without Rag, you can achieve the, what is it, material enjoyment and
Enment,
happiness of merging into the Brahman, and material
siddhis.
powers, mystical thing. And you haven't gone to that place of Bhav. You've just stayed there. So not everyone is going to go. So Kleshagni Shubhada can apply to a Vaidhi Bhakta also, because they're doing sadhana. Okay.
Sense gratification and liberation.
Mm.
Vijay, how does bhakti make even the pleasure of impersonal liberation seem insignificant?
Now it's come to something of value. Now we've come to something more valuable than just Vaidhi Bhakti. Now we've come more into the realm of Bhav Bhakti.
Moksha Lagutha Krit. Babaji, if even a little love for the Supreme Bhagavad Rathi as manifested in one's heart, Dharma, religion, Artha, economic development, kama, sense gratification, and moksha, liberation, naturally appear insignificant.
Yeah, we've been saying this every verse of the Falshruti. They're not significant to the soul. They're significant to the materially bound jiva, which takes the priority of people. Most people are materially bound, therefore they acknowledge these four qualities, especially here in India. Everyone talks about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. This is, this is the goal of life. But that's by the conditioned, bound jivas. But the bhaktas are going beyond that.
Babaji, Vijay, and why is it said?
So now just take note that this is Vijay asking these questions. This is not Brajanath anymore. Vijay is a maturer devotee than Brajanath. So now Vijay is asking these questions.
Vijay, and why is it said that bhakti is rarely achieved? Sudurlabha. Babaji, this matter should be understood carefully. Bhakti will remain elusive so long as one performs devotional service improperly. Even if one engages in millions of different spiritual practices, sadhana, apart from that, Bhakti Devi satisfies the majority of people with only impersonal liberation. She does not give bhakti unless she sees that the practitioner is highly qualified.
That means we need guidance. It's everything that I've been saying so far about Dharma, Artha. The general populace is just like Vyasadeva was before he had the trance. He had given these four principles for humanity to actually follow. This is what he had given. And this was his despondency. When he was feeling dissatisfied, Narad came. And then Narad had to shower within his heart this trance so that he could perceive bhakti. Then his despondency was dispelled. Apart from that, Bhakti Devi satisfies the majority
That
of
is
people
done
with only impersonal liberation.
liberation. She
She
does
does not.
not give bhakti unless she sees that the practitioner is highly qualified.
Highly qualified means you've been led by a highly qualified person. You've been led by a Shuddha Bhakta who already has bhakti, who has already been led himself by a Shuddha Bhakta. It's a chain. It has to come through that chain, living chain, not historic chain. If you don't have connection with the living personality, you cannot move forward. It's fictitious.
It is for these two reasons that bhakti is rarely achieved. The sadhan of cultivating gyan definitely leads one to liberation in the form of merging into the non dual Brahm, which is the very form of knowledge. It is also easy to get material sense gratification by performing pious deeds like yajna and other such activities. However, if one does not practice bhakti yoga, one cannot achieve bhakti to Sri Hari, even by performing millions of spiritual
We
practices.
read about so many great Raja Rishis and kings from the past performing so many big Ashwamedha yagyas, etc. They were doing these yagyas for all different, perhaps karmic reasons, like they wanted a child or they wanted something to be purified, something like that, but actually selflessly offering glorification to Sri Hari. That was not being taught. That was not available because Mahaprabhu hadn't manifested. First of all, Krishna has to come to demonstrate his um, vichitrata, this astonishing pastimes. First of all, he has to demonstrate that. Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusyam deha ashritata. Tadrishi krita shrutva ya shrutva tatparovapat. Bhajate tadrishi shrutva bhajate bhajate uh, I got it. Just a minute. Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusyam deha ashritata. Bhajate tad risham yashrutva tatparo bhavet. Krishna, this is describing in the 33rd chapter of the 10th canto after the Ras Leela has been performed. Shukadeva is describing why Krishna manifests to show the jivas the excellence of his divine pastimes in Vrindavan. to attract the jivas to this beauty and speciality of Raganuga, this of Brajaras. This is why he comes to perform like that. So it's described there very closely.
Vijay, why has bhakti been described as the superlative form of bliss? Sandrananda Visheshatma. Babaji, bhakti is eternal spiritual happiness, and that is why the performance of bhakti places one in an ocean of bliss. If one combines all the different types of worldly material pleasure as the pleasure of merging into Brahm, which is the negation of this material world, and multiplies it all 10 of millions of times, the resultant pleasure still cannot compare to a single drop of the ocean of the bliss of devotional
Because
service.
the heart will not be yeyatma suprasidati. It's actually easy to understand because in this world we are concerned with our various relationships. If you're a sensitive person, then you will have relationships with all different types of people. And it's those relationships that bring joy to the heart. Religio, religion itself, in the Latin is religio. Religio means relationships. Sambandha Gyan means relationship with Krishna. This is where the absolute joy, if it's this anything impersonal, like Brahman realization or Paramatma realization, that means a connection of personal exchanges hasn't manifested. It's just singular. We've said many times that the word love, for example, is a verb to love. There must be a subject and an object. You can't just sit alone and expect necessarily to develop your relationship with Krishna. We need sadhu sangha. We need Vaishnavas and Vaishnava relationships. And there was a whole chapter 8 in the we read before about the Kanishta, the Madhyam, and the Uttam, the different relationships between these devotees. This is so important to appreciate. Actually, those whole first 12 chapters are all about Sambandha Gyan. All these different relationships are being expressed and demonstrated for us to appreciate.
Material pleasures are utterly trivial, and the pleasure that appears by negating material pleasure, mukti, is very dry. Both these pleasures are different in nature from the bliss of the spiritual world. One cannot compare two things that are altogether different in character. Therefore, those who have developed some taste for the bliss of performing bhakti find the pleasure of merging into Nirvishesh Brahm to be as insignificant as the water in a cow's hoof print.
So appreciate those people who are concerned with merging into the Nirvishesh Brahm. They don't even want to hear about Krishna's pastimes because it will distract them from their focus of like void, basically. They become averse to that. And this makes it very difficult for the devotee. They don't understand. But if you've been slightly attracted by Krishna's pastimes, you've already gone past those two stages. We're already moving rapidly towards connection with Krishna fully.
Only those who have experienced this pleasure can understand it. Others cannot grasp or discuss it. Vijay, how does bhakti attract the all attractive Shri Krishna? Shri Krishna Akarshani. Babaji. Shri Krishna, together with all his loved ones, becomes forcibly attracted and controlled by a person within whose heart Bhakti Devi has appeared. Krishna cannot be controlled or attracted by any other means.
This is
Vijay.
what we said yesterday. Aishwarya and anything less than this path of Ragmarga is not going to begin to attract Krishna. Why should it? Krishna manifests the jivas to ultimately engage in ras. Krishna has a relationship with every single jiva, and he is interested when is that jiva going to reciprocate with the opportunities that I'm giving him? And if he's not reciprocating, then Krishna doesn't influence that at all. He just remains neutral, like Paramatma. Paramatma is completely neutral. He's just sitting there, witnessing. He's the witness, Antaryami. That's Paramatma feature. And where are our prayers going? If we're not looking with great deep rag to connect with this most loving personality, and especially when we hear about his relationships with the gopis, when we read Gopi Geet, Pranaya Geet, Venu Geet, Yugal Geet, Brahmara Geet, Viraha Geet, we read these different Geets in the Bhagavatam, and we see the extraordinary otherworldly love that the gopis have for Krishna and how it totally controls him. So we are following in the footsteps of the Brajaramanis, the gopis. Sri Krishna together with all his loved ones. I think you read. How does bhakti attract the all-attractive Sri Krishna?
That is done. Vijay, if bhakti is so sublimely potent, why do those who study many shastra not try to achieve her? Babaji, Bhakti and Sri Krishna are beyond all material boundaries. So human intelligence cannot reach them because it is gross and limited. However, one can easily understand the essence of devotional service, Bhakti Tattva, if he has developed even a slight taste by the influence of pious deeds accumulated in the past. No one but the most fortunate jivas can understand Bhakti Tattva.
How blessed that we're on that path to understanding it. If we haven't understand it already, doesn't matter, but at least we're on the path. Bhaktivedanta Swami used to say, you're in the shower, you're getting clean. It's a process. Be patient. The cleansing process is very supportive of all of this. We just have to remain in that cleansing place. Cheto Dapana Marjana, Baba Mahata Bhagni Nivatana. We have to stay in that place. And then, by Krishna's mercy, all of this realization will come to us.
Vijay, why does material logic carry no weight? Babaji, logic does not have the
So we've just completed the 6 explanations of this verse. Kleshagni, Shubhada, Mokshalokhatavrit Dulva, Sandra Ananda Visheshatma, Krishna Achashni Sasa. So that's the end of that stage, but we'll go a little bit further. We can.
Vijay, why does material logic carry no weight? Babaji, logic does not have the qualities necessary for understanding spiritual pleasure.
As soon as you take logic and rationale into achintya states of consciousness, inconceivable states of consciousness, you break them. You make logic will reference time and space. These various drops of kripa that we may experience during our chanting, our bhajan, etc., can be retained more easily if we don't try to analyze them. As soon as we try to analyzing, means I'm overlaying my material intelligence onto something that is so much beyond that. Very hard for a scientist to do like that. Their minds are trained to analyze everything. That's the training that they go through.
It is said, Naisha Tarakena Matir Apaneya Proktanenaiva Sujanaya Preshta. Katha Upanishad. My dearest Nachiketa, it is not proper to use argument to destroy the wisdom of the absolute truth that you have received.
Beautiful. Very, 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 very beautiful. Okay, we'll just finish this paragraph and then we'll
Then
stop.
it is also said, Tarka Pratishthanat. Logic is useless for establishing any vastu, real substance, because what one person establishes by logic and argument today, a more expert logician will refute tomorrow. Vedanta Sutra 2.1.11. That is why it is said that logic carries no respect. All these statements of the Vedanta established that the logic cannot explain spiritual matters.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful conclusion. We're going to stop there, but that's really beautiful. Don't try and use our minimal intelligence to understand transcendental matters. That means Sharanagat. That means I have to have faith. Don't worry about it. That means I have to have faith that Krishna will reveal how they can sit comfortably in my consciousness. I don't have to logically rationalize them. I can remember many times in the past reading the Christian mystics and the sort of realizations that actually the Christian mystics, the ones that I've read, only seem to reach knowledge of Brahman to some degree. They actually go into that Brahman state. And each time they go in there, the ones that I've read, they've been like on a wave going in there, and then they start to analyze it. The very second they start to analyze it, boom, it's gone. The analytical process is bringing in the material. It's cutting it to pieces. We have to disdain this material bautic gyan. It's actually useless in the spiritual world. It doesn't have any potency. It's only the condition of the affection of the heart, the attraction of the heart, that mood. Ultimately, it is only mood. Those three stages of rati that I mentioned, Sadarani, Samanjasa, and Samartha, they're all about moods of their giving pleasure to Krishna. This is ultimately what bhakti is about in the end. It's about the mood of your sincere desire to please Krishna. And this verse, it all just is very, very, very clear. Okay, Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Shuddha Bhakti ki jai. Bhav Bhakti ki jai. Ananta Gauda Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha. Kripa Sindhavevacha.
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo.